welcome to the parents that have already started to join the session. We'll start in 1 minute. We'll just give all the parents a opportunity to join. Good afternoon to the parents prospective parents to join us for this lovely Friday afternoon session. We appreciate your time, especially the ones that taking it out of their little ones' time at home. We're going to have an informal session, and we would like to have your questions throughout the session. Just some house rules. I'm your host, Anne-Louise, so I will be assisting with your questions. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, as well as a chat box. You can use any of those two to ask any questions throughout. We've got a lovely panel here. We're quite honored to have our Pearson's representatives here to answer those very tricky questions on the qualifications and teaching methodologies from their side as well. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Amanda Newman, our principal, to introduce the session and also the panelists further. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Louise, and I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. Again, to also our parents. In my position, interacting with teachers and students has been a privilege. Without the magnificent complement of staff, I must say I wouldn't be able to achieve anything in this virtual space. I'd like to thank everybody for the time for this evening, for being with us. With the rapid advancement of technology, online learning has become a big part of our educational space worldwide, from primary school to tertiary education. Students are increasingly turning to online learning as a viable alternative to a physical classroom, as this has drastically changed during the course of also with our infrastructures and technology. We encourage student socialization with peers by participating in subject-specific discussions. We have a structured timetable at Praxis, just as a physical school would, and we have regulated times for lessons, as well as an assembly and a break. Online learning has proven to be a positive alternative for the students in this modern era. It is hard to understand the notion of leaving behind a conventional classroom, especially if it is to face that vast space called the internet. However, it's not a reason enough to shy away from this alternative. It has proven to be a valid and useful means of learning for many students. And it's so wonderful to be actually in this space of evolution with education and actually pushing the parameters. We have so much to offer students in this virtual space. And with our assistants, especially with Pearson's, I'm going to introduce Evans, and she is the South African representative for Pearson's. Thank you, Christine.
Hi, Amanda, and hi, all the parents that have joined us today. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I'm Christine Evans. I'm Head of Business Development for Pearson's Qualifications across Sub-Saharan Africa, and I'll be sharing a little bit more with you later on in the session about who Pearson is and the qualifications that we deliver.
I imagine Amanda was going to also ask me to introduce myself. So I'm Max Taverner-Kearney. I'm the Head of Business Development for Global Online Schools. So some of the reasons Amanda was already mentioned, online schooling is growing rapidly, and Pearson wants to be at the forefront of that, assisting schools and parents alike to make, informed decisions on the digital step of education. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to telling you a bit about what our courses has to offer.
Okay, thank you, Max. Christine, if you can help us with your presentation up first, thank you.
Sure, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so Pearson EdXL Qualifications, we're really providing global opportunities. This is the intention of providing international education, is broadening out the opportunities that are available to students. So not just within your own country, but also internationally. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who we are as an organization. So Pearson is a global learning company. We work across all aspects of education around the world. And we have over 22,000 employees within the organization. So a very broad range of expertise in education. And we all have one mission, and that is to help people make a measurable impact, or to make a measurable impact on people's lives through learning. That is the core goal of everything that we do across Pearson. So why Pearson EdXL? We've got over 150 years experience or history as an examination board. We started out originally as the University of London examinations back in 1836. So a very, very long history. And the exam board then became EdXL and then became Pearson. And we've retained the EdXL brand to represent our academic qualifications. We're the largest provider of qualifications in the UK, so that's across academic and vocational. And over 3.4 million students around the world take our qualifications every year. We've also been shown by Ofqual that publish the number of remark changes after every exam series to be the most reliable awarding organization in terms of getting the first mark being the most accurate mark. And that's something that we're very proud of. We have a big focus on transparency. We offer free access to scripts after the examinations so that teachers and students can see exactly how they responded to the exam, how the mark scheme was applied, and have a really good idea as to whether it's worth requiring a remark request or using our post-result services. And just within the UK, we mark over 9 million exam scripts every year. So that's excluding all of the exams that we're marking globally. So really, really large scale operation. One of the other benefits of Pearson EdXL relates to our international A-level qualifications, where the structure of that qualification is modular. And we'll have a look at that qualification a little bit more later on. But essentially what that means is that each subject is spread across different units, and those units can be spread out across different exam series. So especially in terms of the pandemic, where we've seen major disruption in the ability of students to be able to sit their examinations, instead of having all of your exams at the end of your study in one series being at stake as a result of the pandemic, many students who've been taking our qualifications would have already banked some of their units in previous series, giving them a lot more confidence in the process in terms of having to simply complete the remaining units and not having their entire qualification leaning on a particular exam series that may or may not have been able to take place as a result of the pandemic. So just giving a lot of resilience to that experience and a lot of flexibility for students as well. Our qualifications suite is referred to as iProgress, and that ranges all the way from early years through to iPrimary, lower secondary, international GCSE, and international A-level. You'll be very familiar with the names of these qualifications, and of course these are based on the UK education system, but with international versions, meaning that they are more relatable to students from around the world, less UK-centric, and really making sure that they are suitable for global progression. Something that's really key to us at Pearson as well is employability. And so what we've done is we've looked at how we can incorporate key transferable skills into all parts of our qualification. So right from early years, we look for opportunities to start developing higher order thinking skills, independent thinking skills in young learners. And you can see the 3 types of transferable skills that we focus on. And those are embedded in each of our qualifications throughout to make sure that students are not just developing their academic ability, but they can apply that knowledge effectively, and they have the behaviors that are required by employers to be effective in the workplace. So let's have a quick look at iPrimary and iLower Secondary. This qualification, of course, is based on the UK primary and lower secondary curriculum, but with an international context. And one of our subjects is global citizenship, really a focus on big issues in the world and problem solving. We know the younger generation are really invested in solving global problems. And so we've started including the subject from the very earliest years in our curriculum to support students with having that global mindset to their learning. And the iPrimary and iLower Secondary provides a really strong foundation for progression into the international GCSE and beyond. It's also got scaffolded language support throughout, so it's suitable for second language English learners as well, helping to support their language to prepare for the standard of language required at international GCSE. We have one of our pedagogical pillars of iPrimary and iLower Secondary is formative assessment. So the progression monitoring of students is very comprehensive and is based on age-related expectations, making sure that every child is getting a personalized experience, personalized support to ensure that at the end of their iLower Secondary, they are fully prepared and ready to progress into the international GCSE. At the end of primary and the end of lower secondary phases, we do offer an externally marked achievement test, which is certified for students to get a globally benchmarked view of their performance of the qualification. A big focus in this suite of qualifications as well is our professional development. We get fantastic feedback from teachers that have been through our training, not just on the pedagogical approach of the curriculum, but also exposing them to the latest thinking and teaching strategies globally. And so that's something that we're really proud to help teachers with and continue to develop year on year through that process. Okay, these are some of the teaching and learning resources that support the delivery of iPrimary and iLower Secondary. And what we're going to do now is just have a quick look at our digital platform called Active Learn Primary. So you can see what the student and teacher experience looks like and how that works together to provide the effective results that we see in this curriculum. So this is the teacher view of Active Learn Primary. You'll see a whole host of products sitting there just because I've got everything in my platform, but the teacher would see the products that they have specifically chosen to use for their delivery. And you can see at the top of the screen, they've got resources, assessment, and planning. So for each of these products, which support different subjects, they all have these key components to support not just the planning, but also resources that they can use front of class in their live lessons or can allocate to students to do at home. And then they also have an assessment view as well, so they can build their own assessments and they can monitor the student progression. So this is just an example from the Bug Club, which is our whole school reading program, and showing you the range of resources that teachers can choose from. And we're continuously adding more resources into this platform. So just for this product, for the search criteria I put in, there's over 520 different books that the teachers can choose from, which they can use front of class or they can allocate to students. They're divided into book bands to make sure that students are reading in a structured way and progressing. And each student may be on a different book band. And so this can be catered for easily by the teacher to allocate the appropriate book to the appropriate student. And this is covering fiction, nonfiction, poetry, all sorts of different types of resources. And then this is a view on how they track the student progress. So based on what the students are completing in the platform or the assessments that the teachers plug the results in for, they will see who is on track, who is exceeding expectations, who is below expectation, and they can provide the right intervention to support each student from a personalized perspective. So let's have a quick look at the student view. As you can see, this is really interactive, brightly colored, very exciting for students to engage with. And the point is to make sure this is fun. So they log in at home and the school provides a username and password. They have their own profile on the system. And then if they go to My Stuff, they will see everything the teacher has allocated to them. So we can see that they've got some new activities or a new book to read from Bug Club, 2 new books for Bug Club to focus on phonics. So this is a young learner, 3 new maths activities, and then we are looking at the Science Bug platform. So they've got 2 activities in their My Stuff folder that they've already opened 1. And so it shows as 1 new activity to complete for science. And so this activity that they've opened is relating to the features of an animal. I'm just going to show you the view. And this is a digital activity. So they would be required to click around, complete this little gamified activity relating to what's been done in class. And then they get the reward for their task they've completed. And we have a little gamified section where they can use those rewards to play a game or buy a sticker or participate in one of these various spaces that exist within this platform for students to keep motivated and be excited about completing those tasks. We also have a grown-ups area to support you as parents to understand how to assist your child and get the most out of the various products that they will be interacting with on the platform. And so this is a really important, especially for young learners. We really want parents to be engaged and supporting and helping make learning fun for their children. Okay, so that was the iPrimary and iLower Secondary and a bit of our digital platform. I'm now just going to tell you a little bit about our international GCSE qualifications, which are for students from the ages of 14 to 16 years. And this is a view of the various subjects we have available. Of course, schools will pick and choose which subjects they would offer at their institution, but there are a broad range of options. And something just to flag about this qualification is that instead of having an A star to G grading scale, it is on a 9 to 1 grading scale. This is something that was changed in the UK a few years ago, and we've applied the same grading scale to our international GCSE to ensure comparability with the GCSE qualification, but also because there are a number of benefits to this grading scale. The first of which is that the grade 9, the highest grade, is actually a brand new grade and is higher than the previous A star grade. So it's only the highest performing A star students who would receive a grade 9, which helps to differentiate them in terms of progression. But we also see more differentiation in the middle of the scale, so that where it would have been a grade B or C, we can now get a clearer picture of how that student is performing. Okay, and then the international advanced level we've already mentioned is the modular qualification. So more flexible than having all of your exams in one series at the end of the exam, at the end of the qualification. And this is the range of subjects that we have available for international AS and international A level. Again, schools would pick and choose the subjects that are suitable for their students to make available. This is just to give you a bit of a view on what we offer. Okay, and then something that's really Pearson was really innovative of, but we've now been doing this for many years, is the way that we mark our examinations. So exam papers are sent to the UK, they are scanned in a big facility that you can see in point number 2 in Hillaby in the UK. And each of the questions is sent off to a marker who is trained to mark that particular question. And our systems track the marking incredibly closely. So if we see any erratic behavior, then the lead marker would take over marking of that. And this is the process that enables us to get the right mark the first time in most instances. But it also means that when we bring the results back together for all of those individual questions, we have a very powerful set of data with which to provide results analysis. And so every institution that works with Pearson Excel curriculum has access to the results analysis platform called Results Plus, showing how every student has performed by question level. And they can compare that to a specific class, to a cohort, and to every student around the world that took that examination. We also have a student-facing version of Results Plus called Results Plus Direct. And so any students doing our qualifications would then be able to log in on Results Day and see how they performed at question level versus every student around the world that took that exam. And so if there is necessity to resit a paper or they want to try to improve a mark, it gives a lot of information as to where they should focus in order to do that. Okay, then in terms of recognition and progression, our Pearson Excel exams or qualifications are recognized by USAF in South Africa, so they can be used to progress to all South African universities. There's an outline there of the exemption criteria, so the specific matriculation exemption criteria set by USAF, which will be as per any other UK-related qualifications. And so these qualifications can provide local recognition or local progression, I should say. And of course, they provide global progression as well. So all the top universities around the world recognize Pearson Excel qualifications and accept them into their university programs. We also have a dedicated recognition and progression team that supports students with any recognition queries. If there's a university that is new and hasn't yet been familiar with our qualifications, we would support individual student progression queries via that team. So a lot of support and continuously adding new formal recognition to our global list, which is published on our website as well. Okay, thank you so much. And I welcome any questions there might be about Pearson or our Edexcel qualifications.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christine. It has been quite an in-depth look into your qualifications and way of assessments, which I think is always a question for parents. We do have some parents streaming in, so if there's any questions, you can also ask that on the other platforms. Just to note again, you can ask any questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box located at the bottom of your screen. And then I'm going to hand over to Max just to introduce himself.
I'm off mute already. Thank you. Yeah, as I said, I'm Max Taverner-Kearney. I'm the head of business development for the online schooling unit here at Pearson, assisting schools get online and teach online. One point I would just like to add to Christine's amazing presentation, I don't quite know how I'll follow, is about the recognisability of the qualifications. So a question we get from parents a lot is, great, your qualifications are recognised in a physical school, but is a qualification studied online as impactful? Or do universities take it on as much? And the answer is absolutely. Christine really nailed the point that these universities are looking for these qualifications, not necessarily where they sat them or, you know, what medium they sat them in. Was the student in the classroom or were they sat at home? It's not an issue. It's about, you know, that qualification they've obtained and obviously what grade they got. So it's a big question from parents. So just thought I'd get in there early before I forgot. Okie dokie. So I'm going to walk us through a service called the Pearson Online School Services service. The difference between what Christine has gone through and what I have gone through is the types of services. So Christine's walked us through what resources Pearson has to offer to supplement teaching or work with teachers to get that maximum engagement, gearing up towards the qualification. The services I'm going to talk about are more course-like. So it's our first year of selling this in this digital post-COVID world. So these are courses which the amazing teachers at Praxis are going to use alongside their normal teaching routines. If you bear with me one moment, I'll also share my screen. Okie dokie, that should all be up. And he says, there we go. Okie dokie. Yeah, so again, I'll just whittle through some slides. I know it's a Friday evening, but I promise not to take too long. And then we'll have a quick live demonstration of some of those asynchronous courses too. So like I said, we're here to discuss the Pearson Online School Services and what that means. Typically, we see a number of different customers coming to us post-COVID. We did a bit online, we were already thinking about online, and I think that's where Praxis sits in. This is definitely at the front of their strategic priorities. And it's not about, completely transforming the school, but just simply adding that online dimension. It's about what possibilities can come with that, not excluding, the opportunities that are already there. So typically we see schools come to us for these four main reasons. So they could be looking to extend their reach. It could be that they want to offer subjects which aren't necessarily already on the curriculum without hiring more teachers. It might just be that there aren't teachers in the local area with that expertise. Or again, I've mentioned COVID a couple of times, but ensuring against risks of the future, possible lockdowns, or students maybe that just want to go online. I think this reason for Praxis is more about extending the reach and extending, that global opportunity that comes with sitting a British qualification outside of students that may be in local areas. It's a borderless product, and you can get that high quality provision that Pearson provides alongside the exceptional teaching and expertise that Praxis brings too. So again, Christine has walked us through the brilliant work Pearson does in its absolute scale for qualifications and resources. I'm obviously based in the UK, and the first time I ever tell anyone I work at Pearson, it's, oh, the textbooks, oh, the exams. But outside of that, Pearson has been doing online schooling for quite some time, just in the background. So I'll give a mini history lesson, just so you can quite understand the scale again of the operation we're providing in terms of online learning. So Pearson currently has 4 online schools already. The first of which is Connections Academy, which is a school based in the US, which started in 2001. So it's been going for about 20 years. And Connections Academy is so well thought of in the US. It's actually state sponsored in 48 of the states. So the government in the US have said, if your student doesn't thrive in the mainstream or for whatever reason they want to homeschool, then that child can enroll at a Connections Academy, and that place is paid for by the government to Pearson. Like I say, that's within 48 of the states. There's a few more, and those states where this isn't an option or the government have decided to say no, parents can pay to send their student to Connections Academy US. And again, being a borderless online school, it also meant we could start recruiting students internationally to study online. And these students are obviously studying up towards their high school diploma, but the full proposition is K through 12, so kindergarten all the way to year 12 or grade 12. These 2 schools in the last 20 years have seen 100,000 students go through their doors, and those students have gone on to great things. Again, Pearson courses are as recognised in the US as they are in the UK, so we've had students go to Harvard, Yale, Oxbridge, and it really gives that flexibility for students who want to pursue outside hobbies. I saw there was a tweet went around work during the Olympics, and a student who studied at Connections Academy was actually an Olympic diver, and he wanted to study online to pursue outside hobbies, and he was allowed to get his high school GED diploma and then go on to university at the same time whilst training. So we get a number of characters and students join these schools. And then on the British curriculum side, we launched our first online school in 2020. This was Harrow School Online, and I'm sure many of you parents will be familiar with Harrow School. It's very famous here in the UK. It's where Winston Churchill went, the ex-Prime Minister of the UK. Very selective, very prestigious. And they decided to partner with Pearson in 2000, or it was sometime before then, to create a fully online school to add to their portfolio. It went well. We recruited students from 17 different countries in our first year, and students at Harrow School Online are taught by Pearson Harrow School Online teachers. These students are all studying towards their A-level qualifications or their international A-level qualifications, with a hope to, for the most part, join UK universities or local universities, given that recognisability. What we did see, however, was tons of parents coming to us asking for other subjects for GCSE, parents of younger students, and also parents, not necessarily of students that have Olympic dreams or musician dreams and are very academically able. However, just students that really thrive being at home. They may have a special need, they may have social anxiety, or they just get less distracted being at home and not sitting at the back of the classroom where there's no one to keep an eye on them. So we quickly, Pearson being Pearson, reacted, and we launched Pearson Online Academy UK, which is a more accessible version of Harrow. And that actually opened its virtual gates about 6 weeks ago. We've got close to 100 students joined us for our first year. And again, that's over about 20 different countries. You can imagine the timetabling nightmare, but they all seem very, very happy so far. So why am I telling you all of this, apart from to tell you how great Pearson is? Well, the 4 schools all have 3 columns or pillars of similarity. So it's our Pearson learning platform, which we'll take a look at in a moment. It's the content catalog, and not so important for this core, but it's the Pearson teachers. It kind of comes into this personal development piece Christine has mentioned. We train great teachers internally, so why would we not pass that knowledge to our partners externally like Praxis? All of these schools work in the same way, which we'll come to in a moment, and we'll have a quick look at the pedagogy before the content. So we're really discussing, and what I want to get into your mind here is we're really discussing courses. We're discussing what courses can we offer online to allow this student to go on and study or complete their qualification. So at present, it's a slightly limited list to the extensive one Christine showed us, but that's just because when you see the quality of the resource, you understand they take a while to make, and it's their cheap investment. But we would like to obviously have that full suite of A-level and GCSE products in the near future. So starting down at GCSE, we've got the 3 sciences, so biology, chemistry, and physics, along with the 2 Englishes, language and literature, mathematics, business and computer science. Now, the last 2 are particularly important for the international market. You don't find business and computer science in every international school that wants to teach British curriculum. So arguably, Praxis would be ahead of the curve here. And I think there's something particularly nice about studying computer science online. I think, okay, physics maybe, but you're going to do this really digital, timely course of computer science. I can't imagine a better medium to do it in than online. Over A-level, so at the moment, it's a more STEM based, so science tech based. This was given as we made these in conjunction with Harrow initially, and the type of student Harrow originally see are these students that want to go on to become doctors, engineers, vets, etc., etc. However, we will be introducing new subjects in the next year. But again, we've got the 3 sciences, maths and further maths. Again, I'm sure Amanda will agree, it's hard to find a great further maths teacher internationally. So, these courses are top tier. Biology and the EPQ, and the EPQ is an extra qualification. It's worth half an A-level. It's more about project writing. Universities absolutely love it when applying. Down here, we also have Spanish. I only say Spanish down here as that's actually a UK A-level, but should we have any budding linguists, I'm sure Praxis would be more than happy to push them through their Spanish A-level course as well. So how do we teach, and particularly how is Praxis going to teach your child? So all 4 of Pearson's schools and Pearson school partners like Praxis are adopting this learning triad model. I think what we've seen in the last year due to COVID and students and people like myself retraining, or adults retraining, of online learning is here to stay. And online learning doesn't necessarily mean sitting in front of a Zoom call and hearing someone talk for 2 hours. Frankly, it's unengaging, and there's no data to come from that. So Pearson really pushed this learning triad model, And what that means is the student has the opportunity and is pushed to take responsibility for a lot of their own learning. Therefore, students on the courses with Praxis using Pearson Online School Services will use asynchronous courses and live delivery with the Praxis teachers. So students studying GCSE will be expected to log on to their self-study lesson or independent study lesson twice a week, complete the exercises. A wealth of data is then collected, ranging from how long they spent on the course to how many attempts they had at a question, what areas are they falling down. That report or that those results are fed to Amanda's team of teachers. They will have been trained by Pearson teachers to interpret that data. Okay, well, we can see these 4 students are really struggling, but these ones are going well. So in the live lesson, which Praxis will hold, they will be able to set different activities for those students with their different needs. So there'll be 2 self-study or independent study lessons per week for GCSE, and then Amanda and the team will put on 2 live lessons per week to supplement that. So the self-study, the students are going to have gone in, they're going to have learned the theory, the concepts and everything around that subject area, leaving Amanda and the team to really do those higher values thinking skills, think critically with the students about, why is this happening or what does this mean, but also giving them the time to give proper due care and attention to the students that may just be falling slightly behind or they haven't quite got that topic. This is obviously done by the data, which I've mentioned. And this is the same model which we have adopted at Harrow School Online, Pearson Online Academy, because it's tried and tested. If you want to do further reading on the matter, it's called a flipped pedagogy approach, and it's what most institutions are doing. Once your sons or daughters go off to university, they're being for a shock if they can't study on their own. So this is really setting them up with those future skills, which Christine has already mentioned. We've already mentioned this, so at present what will happen, or what has happened, because we have got our first 10 students from Praxis studying English and Maths, they are using our Pearson content and the Praxis teachers for delivery. I think that's the end of my slide, so I'll whiz over to a live demonstration. If I can, I move that down here and make it full screen. No, bear with me 1 second. Okie dokie. So this is the platform we're going to take a quick look at in a moment. I just wanted to show you another one of our customers' platforms, as I couldn't find the Praxis link, and it will be all branded like Praxis. It will really give that feel of the school, even though your students may be remote. They're still going to feel part of the school and part of the brand through a couple of simple changes to the interface. So this is the out-of-the-box solution, or this is the solution which our direct students use. However, we can expect the Praxis page to look something like this. So we're going to incorporate the Praxis blue along the top. We will have the logo and school imagery. So despite being remote, there will be that feel of a cohesive school experience nonetheless. So there we go. And now I can make my screen full. So this is the platform. This is typically what your son or daughter would come to when they need to log in. Just type in their username at the top and just log into the platform. I'm going to show you a little bit of our our English GCSE course, just so you can kind of get a feel of some of the activities. And then again, I'll show you some of the economics A level. Again, they're slightly different. But for the most part, the pedagogy is the same. So this is where the student would log into. These are all the courses, so the asynchronous courses, which they would be expected to complete before their live lesson. There's a range of other things on here, their to-do list, which would be assigned by Amanda's team. You must do your homework. Despite being online, there's no getting away from it. They will be able to see what activities their teachers have been doing, has their marking been done, etc. I'm not clicking on it because it is just a demo and it only got set up yesterday ready for this call, but I promise there would be lots in there. We also have a grade book, so the student would be accountable of seeing their grades as they work along the course. Let's see, I did do some activities last night now. They would be able to see their grades across the course and the grades they're getting, but also how much they're progressing. And one nice thing outside of this data from testing and exams is, asking the student how they feel they're doing often. So a student would be expected to come into the platform at the end of each week and kind of just say how they're feeling. And this again is a result that's fed to the teacher, but not data-led. It's feeling felt by the pupil. So they'll be asked, what is their understanding? Okay, this student's completely lost, they're completely bored, and they're completely not trying. So, if this got to the team, it'd be like, oh my goodness, how can we inspire this student? And there are 4 different metrics in here. So there is a big big spectrum for the students to really feel and indicate how they are feeling. So this one's really understanding everything, but they're still quite bored and they don't feel like they're trying. So, this would be an indicator to the team that something's got to change. Okie dokie. And then this would just be here, so that people can come in each week and just change that for themselves. There's also a calendar. So again, the team would set up a Zoom link. So the student would know Monday morning, I log into my platform and then I go onto my live lesson with my colleagues and teachers alike. Okie dokie, let's take a quick look at the course. We'll look at English language. Okay, so typically at the moment we've got each term set up in the course, and these will be coming out term by term. This is to overwhelm the pupil. I know if I was 14 studying English and went in and saw 3 terms of 20 classes a term, I'd have a mild heart attack. So we upload the courses, at a phased state to really get into the child's psyche to enjoy the program and not think about it as a massive hill or Everest, but base camp by base camp by base camp. In here as well, I just want to flag is we give all of the students access to any supplementary text they need. So in this case, it's the Edexcel International Anthology. So this will be for all their poems and their texts alike. At normal school, I shouldn't say normal, traditional school, you would be, paying a little bit more, having to pop down the shop and purchase these textbooks too. The student has got this here to use as a point of reference in the activities. So let's take a look at a lesson. Okie dokie, so here are all of the lessons. As you can see, for the most part, they all follow a pretty similar routine. Again, we are asking these students to take on some of their own learning. The last thing we want to do is completely vary activity to activity or class to class. So for the most part, they do follow a similar setup. They usually finish either with some homework, which they can download straight away and re-upload for the live teacher at Praxis to mark, or they finish with a quick check, a more formative assessment. It's not going to contribute to any later grades. However, worst case scenario, exams are cancelled again this year. But there's so much data collected on the platform, unlike schools across the world that were scrambling to find pieces of evidence to say, okay, this student is worth a 9, not an A star, a 9. These formative and summative assessments really act as a backup to that. A testament to that, the kids at Harrow School Online, 95% of them got all A's and A stars in their first year of their A levels. The remaining, and then it was 100% A star to B. Because there's data, no one could say you've made that up, which was the case of lots of schools here in the UK and internationally. There was a real foundation of progression within the student. Okie dokie, so let's just drop into a lesson. I'm conscious I'm going on and we want some time for questions. So every lesson starts with what they're going to learn. Again, Pearson being so tightly associated with Edexcel, the exam board, these are all set against the exam syllabus, what you will need to cover to study the exam. No other online school or online school content provider could offer the same thing, given our association with the exam board. They've also got the key definitions in here, just reminding the student of, these words they're going to need for the course. And it's just reminding them of what they learned in their last lesson. If they haven't done the last lesson, they are going to struggle. The same as if you don't turn up to class, you're going to struggle. So for whatever reason, if they have missed a session, they need to go back and do that. And here are the learning objectives. The classes then typically start with what we call spark activity. So this is more about getting the student alive, waking up, and something that will, you know, kind of get their gears going first of all. So this is all just going about, you know, asking them why they think someone might write an autobiography, why someone, you know, might read an autobiography, etc. And then, you know, I would ask them, if I was the teacher in this lesson, make a note. The last one, if you were to write an autobiography, what would you talk about? Bring that to your live lesson. It's quite a nice icebreaker to get the students talking and get their cogs turning. Then all activities start with a getting started activity. So this is usually bringing in a piece of prior knowledge from their last session. So again, just trying to get them going before really going deep into the content. Up here, it's just talking about when a piece they should have read from their anthology, so Chinese Cinderella, and then just telling them exactly where to look to do this activity. They can then go through and do the questions. You can check the answer. Students can do, it's projected, students can do this 3 times before it's locked in. So now you couldn't do it again. These results are all fed up to the teacher, as long as, like I said, how long they've spent on the activity. They could obviously just click, 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 like I did then. However, the teacher would be able to see they've only spent 1 minute on the course. Feedback is then instantly given, so they don't need to wait to figure out why they were wrong, but the feedback is given instantly, or a reminder of the topic. Again, similar throughout. And again, just a variety of different activities, not always the same sort of setup. Again, there's lots of answers here and that piece of feedback. You finish and then submit it to the teacher. The next activity, so then basically what happens is there's a piece of core content. There's 2 pieces of core content in every course. There's core content 1, and you've got it, core content 2, and with them an activity to kind of bring that together. So this will be core content 1. So we're kind of just introducing a new topic here. So this is all about TAP, which is a way of writing here in the UK. You're identifying the type of text, the audience, and the purpose, a concept the student probably hasn't seen before. And then just a little handy tip. And then these highlighted words are all definitions again, should they not remember those from that earlier slide. In here is more text. And again, I talk about the psychology behind how these courses have been set up. All of this text has been put behind these bars for a reason. Again, if I was 14 and I was, you know, feeling somewhat resistant to my self-study lesson that day, if I came onto the slide and saw all of this text, oh my goodness, I'll do it later. However, if they can slowly take themselves through the course, and that is what they are doing in essence with opening these boxes, there should be more buy-in. So this is where they would learn this piece of core content, and then go on to the activity where they would put this into practice. So there'll be questions about writing an autobiography, I imagine, and the text which they were looking at. So again, the multiple choice. There's drop downs, again, just a different type of activity. They go, hurrah, they've got it correct. Feedback, and then again in here. So boom, boom, boom. Quite nice. Again, then they would go on and do the core content 2. Again, introducing new topics to them, which they would then go and look. There's an exam hint, again, marked and checked by our exam teams, ensuring they will get the very best grades. And then they would do activity 2, which splits into 2 parts. I'm not going to go through that because you've seen a couple of activities. And then the final thing would just be their homework, I believe. Oh no, that's the activity, excuse me. I've got to click the whole way through, so it won't let you get out of it, but at least you've got to click through it. And then it's the homework. So the homework here is the question. So it's asking the students to explain the question from the abstract. So why is Adeline's father proud of his daughter? There's the abstract. And then some ideas of what to think about. The student could then type their answer in here, or equally they could write it on Microsoft and then just submit the file. If it will work, yeah, just submit their file. This would then be emailed over to the teacher instantly. and the mark would be done. So there is a lot on the platform which they can do, but equally bits they can download, take offline and complete for their homework. I think that's probably enough for the content. It's all set up in a similar way, but yeah, equally happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Max. I think that was a nice display to see how that learning platform works, and also just a bit of background as to the reputation of Pearson's and the success out there during the COVID situation. I don't see any specific questions for the curriculum. There were a few questions on practical questions, but I'm going to ask Amanda just to discuss the access points that we do have available, which I think is a nice complement to that fantastic demonstration by Max. Thank you.
So I need to unmute myself as well. Thanks,
That's the
Eloise.
saying of the year.
Yes, it really is, especially with our students too. Put your camera on and your microphone. Thank you, Max, and thank you, Christine. That was absolutely awesome. It's so nice to actually showcase what Pearson is about and what we have to offer at Praxis. Also, for our access points, what we have is nationwide. We've got at the moment 12 branches that you can actually go to, and so to facilitate where you can actually go and sit. And it doesn't mean that a child has to go and sit every day. So we have access points where a student can go periodically, whether they want to go in for maybe 2 days a week, or they'd like that student interaction. And the whole purpose of that is for that socialization as well with students. So you can sit with peers, you can interact with peers, and again for social events. And I think what is quite a big thing in South Africa is if we encompass our matric dance for our older students as well, we want to be able to offer that type of thing for our students. So they don't miss out on any of those functionalities that they normally have at a physical school. So we're encompassing everything to have a well-rounded student at the end of the day. So we still have our online facility as well as that interaction with your peers. I think that's the most important point as well. Thanks, Anne-Louise. And then what we'll do for our younger students is we have evaluation centers that we'll also set up. Obviously, that's as the need arises, and I think Anne-Louise is going to give us a little bit more information with that too, because we're working closely together on that, on those facilities, especially for the young students. It's also in an environment where a younger student feels comfortable, and also to assist parents and moms that are working with students to guide them through this process. And again, station rotation is very important, and that whole roundedness of a student is very important too. And Louise?
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Just to elaborate on that, the access points, the 12 campuses, are for the secondary students as well as going up to A levels. So for the older students, and there's a wonderful campus life for them. There's canteens. It's really great facilities for them to access. We do encourage that because the social interaction, there is some need for the well-being of the student as well. And it really complements the blended approach that Pearson's already has available and built into the way their pedagogy runs and their teaching. For the little ones, especially when we're dealing with the foundation phase, there is a form of well-being that we want to evaluate for each of the students. I know that Pearson's already gives tremendous support to the parents in their learning and their academic side, and we would like to facilitate that even further through evaluating and consulting the parents on the well-being of the students throughout that process. These evaluations will be run each term, and then we will provide an additional academic report that's obviously recognized in South Africa to be able to place to a normal mainstream school should they wish to go back. The purpose of this as well, social interaction for the little ones. The environments will be facilitated at some of the partnered learning centers where the environment is conducive for a little one and playful in nature as well. So just to give you some idea for those. We are building on those relationships. Our development manager, Rio, is going to give us some idea of some of the development there, and also just the MindSparks program that we've added on for further mastery of skills. Thank you, Rio.
Great, thanks, Anne-Louise. Yes, just to add on to what you're saying regarding the learning centers, especially for the little ones. We are engaging and partnering with the learning centers all across the country. In addition to that, so that's where the evaluation will actually take place. But over and above that, we are actually following very strict criteria that needs to be met by these learning centers. We actually have partnered with IQAA, which stands for Independent Quality Assurance Agency. And they have very, very strict guidelines that a center has to meet in terms of health and safety, the physical structure of the facility, the pollution facilities, etc. So it's quite strict. So we are also taking that very strict because we will not partner with just any center. It needs to meet our standards as well. So just to give you more insight, so we will have centers all over the country which are up to standard where you and your child can go to. With respect to MindSpark that Anne-Louise attested to, so over and above what Christine has mentioned earlier on regarding the extra courses or so forth, we are also incorporating MindSpark. So MindSpark is an artificial intelligence program that we will use for mathematics specifically. It's from grade 1 through to grade 10, right? So what it does is it allows for students to gain extra knowledge or to upskill themselves in MindSpark. So for example, if a teacher feels that a student or a group of students in that math class is not performing the way they should, that teacher can actually go and set out tasks on MindSpark for their student. The teachers and students will all get login details as well for this AI program. It is gamified. It is gamified as well, so it is more fun, I would say. But yes, what I was actually saying is that so the teacher will set out these tasks where the student will complete. So because it's an AI program, the teacher actually doesn't need to go and check if the student's actually doing what's expected of them. The program itself will judge, and if the student is getting questions wrong that were set out by the teacher, the program itself will bring the level of questions downwards. However, it's not just for students who battle with mathematics. It's for students who do excel with mathematics as well, whereby if the teacher suggests or sets out tasks for a student or a select group of students, and if they're excelling in answering those specific questions, the system will read this and will actually move them up to the next grade of questions. So it enhances their ability as well. So we have been using MindSpark for a while now with Praxis, in fact, from inception of Praxis. And it's really working well. Our teachers and students find great value in it. And yeah, we look forward to using that in addition to what's being offered with Pearson as well. Thank you very much, Anne-Louise.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just ask a few questions that they are quite practical. So Christine, Max, I'm not going to bug you with those. Amanda, just regarding the communication with the teachers from the student side, if you can maybe just elaborate with that answer that I've given there. I believe that we use it through the platform via chat functions. Thank you, Amanda.
Definitely. Thanks, Anne-Louise. We definitely use it through a chat function. And as well, we have the live lessons so that interaction stays open between the teacher and the student. So there's no barrier as well. So there's always that interaction. It's always open. The students can, if they feel that they've got a question and they're doing their homework, they can always put a live chat in. And then as soon as the teacher sees it, they are able to answer that question, or else it will be brought up in the classroom in the live session as well. So just to reiterate again, our timetable is still basically like a physical school. We like to have that structure and having that formalization a little bit within our virtual space, because it creates a breakdown outline for the students for their tasks that they need to do and then the lessons that they need to attend. So it's so wonderful having the asynchronous as well, because students get time to, and that will be timetabled as well. That will be within a certain period of time. And then the students also know when they'll have their sessions on Zoom or their live sessions. So we like to create that environment as a physical school in our virtual space.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm sure that will answer the question there. Then this is just a little bit more on the admission side, and I'll discuss or give over to Rio just to explain the admission process. If my child is going to grade 11 next year, will he need to do the international GCSE curriculum? I think that's a very difficult discussion if we haven't done some pre-admission tests to see how best we can place the student in the courses, and then just to make a recommendation of how to combine some of the courses, because you do need a combination of the IGCSE and A-level, or to structure your AS courses, depending on where the student wants to go and study and what they ideally want to study. That would answer those questions. But these sort of feedback sessions we do on those pre-admission tests as well, to see how best to structure the courses for the student. Ria, if you want to take us through just the admission process so that the parents can understand that. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Anne-Louise. So basically, us in the admissions officer department, we basically your first point of contact, right? And we will assist the parent right through the admissions process. So generally how it would work is, should a parent express interest, and they're more than welcome to either fill in the application form that's on the website, right? Or they can send us an email or make telephonic contact with us. Our telephone number and email address is on our website as well. And it is also on the web forms that's attached on social media. So once we receive that application form, we will, the application form also asks for additional documents such as previous reports, birth certificate, etc. So we will scan everything through. We will also, we'll make contact with the parent as well. We'll guide them through the process. Once the application process is done, right, and should that be successful, we will move on to the enrollment and registration process. There are naturally documents that would be completed there, and should there be a need for an assessment to be done, a cognitive assessment, it will be done then as well. So the application process is generally a 24 to 48-hour process. It depends on how fast we get the documents that's required, and so is the registration and enrollment. Post the registration and enrollment process, it's thereafter another 24 to 48 hours whereby your child can start with classes. Just to make notes, I see that Anne-Louise, you did post this up. Yes, the application process as well is on our Praxis website as well. So you're more than welcome to peruse that there as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Rio. So it's a 6-step process, and quite easy to access on the website and to go through with the required documents. Then just to end off some of the questions that are on the other platforms, just to understand how the achievement, I don't know, Christine, if you would like to answer that, how those achievements assessments are done at the end of primary.
Sure. So essentially, we don't call them exams because, they're designed for younger learners. So the types of questions would be more activity-based or task-based than the standard examination, but they're conducted in the same way. So students would be using materials that have been sent from Pearson in the UK. They will sit those tests at a specific time, as all students will do around the world in a controlled environment. And those completed tests are then sent back to our UK facility to be marked, and the results issued through our marking process that I described. So in advance of that sort of summative achievement test, which is just one test per subject at the end of primary phase and again at the end of lower secondary, they would have progress tests each year throughout the terms, which are designed by Pearson. but we provide the mark schemes, and the teachers would mark that, the Praxis teachers would mark that. So the intention is to provide students with that external benchmark, but not for us to be over-testing students throughout the course of those qualifications.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Christine. I see that we have answered all the open questions on the other platforms as well. We have gone over time a little bit, and I do appreciate all of our parents' time and yours, Christine and Max. Thank you very much for that. Amanda, if you want to end off the session.
Thank you, Anne Louise, and thank you once again for the audience for attending, and to our panelists, Rio, for your insightful information. It's always, I know I've heard and I know the process, but I always actually learn a little bit more every time. And I've been through a lot of all the trainings, and I tell you that the interactive training, IX training, the critical thinking, it's amazing, although you've been through that before, how it's reiterated once again. And I think for our teachers, just to keep abreast of new technologies, new ways of learning, especially in a virtual space, is very important. So that's what we do always offer our teachers, as well as always that upskilling, as it's so important with learning. Thank you very much for everybody's time. I appreciate it. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne Louise.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.